Good morning. It's a beautiful day. This video is actually inspired by Brian Rose from London Real. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen any of his videos yet. It's had some interesting characters on there. People with some very valid points actually. Great to listen to, alternative to the usual narrative on the media. However, balanced. I think it balances out what we normally see. Anyway, just been having a think about things as they are. I think we live in a very interesting time. Personally, I'm quite excited about the potential, about our human potential. I don't think anything major, catastrophic is going to happen. We've been through worse, and look at the world we live in today. Even as it is, I think it's very beautiful. It's wonderful. But what's interesting is where we could go with this, and where I think we're headed. So I think for quite a while, since a young age, I've always felt something not quite, I'm going to use the word productive here, about the way we kind of live, this setup that we've had. I mean, it's changed over the years significantly, and I think it's a hell of a lot better than when it used to be when I was a kid. It just didn't seem to breed love or creativity, but rather more mechanistic automatons. So our human nature almost was kind of suppressed. You had to get up at a certain time against your natural body clock. You had to eat at a certain time against what your body was telling you. You had to, do things at a set time. So we were living by the clock, kind of like robots do, like computer programming. And yeah, I think that obviously stifles the body's natural processes, and hence I think why we've seen, in my opinion anyway, a proliferation of adverse health conditions over the years. I mean, we've got a better understanding of it, but we still have other challenges, and I think it's come out in a mental way. So mental health has been a big challenge more recently in our recent times. We're seeing a lot of, especially male suicide. That's been quite a big thing. But anyway, most of us know where we're at. But that kind of lifestyle based on the clock, numbers, symbols, like money in your bank account, spreadsheets, that kind of thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just we've forgotten what our heart is telling us. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience here. Forgotten what our heart is telling us. I forgot what my heart was telling me, and I was living by the number or by the clock, trying to fulfill something at the fear of what might happen if I didn't fulfill those numbers. And obviously, if it's a circular system. So if I put pressure on somebody else, they then put that same pressure on somebody else, and so on until it comes back around to me, unless someone in that chain breaks it. So yeah, what you put out is what you truly do get back. In the Bible, I am not a Christian, but I do have a lot of Christian friends, and it's quite a popular Bible passage, I suppose. Treat your neighbour as you'd like to be treated yourself, and that's kind of what that says to me is what you put out is what you get back. So if you stress about money to somebody else, well, they're going to stress about money to you as well. So it's just a circular system. So if you can free yourself from that stress, then you alleviate others of that same stress, so the focus primarily comes back to you. One thing I do want to talk about today was the political system and the kind of organisational structures that we've got in place. I think they're great. However, there are some downsides to it, and we're at a point in our evolutionary stage, a human evolutionary stage, where it's time to take a big leap. In my opinion, a quantum leap, where we fuse the kind of analytical, rational mind with the feeling, emotional, intuitive side, and bring the two together, the yin and the yang principle, unifying to create what we might say unification of the physical and the non-physical, the spiritual or religious, if you like. And that's when we get a total, more holistic viewpoint. And from that perspective, we can act more in accordance with the natural balance of life. So using a little bit of science here, we have two poles of a magnet. We have the light, we have the day, we have the foreground, we have the background. Contrast. This whole physical universe relies on that contrast. I highly recommend you listen to the now late Alan Watts, philosopher, He talks a lot about these concepts, still very relevant in this day and age, and I think he is someone that can really touch your heart when it comes to speaking about these matters. So, you know, in my opinion, when I listen to him, I don't really just hear the words that he's saying, but it really unlocks something within my soul. It almost acts like a key, an energetic key. So what I think is, going forward, we need political figures, leaders, business leaders, entrepreneurs, teachers, scientists, the kind of the people with the I guess the supposed power in the world, with more people that understand the holistic nature of life a little bit more, in the sense of they're bringing in, or they have a spiritual awareness as well, or a religious awareness, but also the physical awareness, so they can see the overlap between science, technology, and also with biology and spirituality, the non-physical. There's a lot of non-physical phenomena. You know, there's radio signals in the air, but you can't see them. Doesn't mean they're not there. Gravity, love, that's a key one. If you've seen the film Interstellar, they talk about love being the only thing that can, well, love and gravity, that can transcend, or that exists between time, space and dimensions. So no matter where you are, the feeling of love is always there. So yeah, I think with leaders that are more aware of the holistic, or the oneness, or the interconnectedness of life, you know, what I do to the planet, what I do to somebody else comes back round to me and affects everyone else in the chain. Decisions based on that frame of reference, rather than on purely profit or business point of view. You know, as most businesses operate to make a profit, which in my opinion is a very low ceiling of creativity, expression. You know, kind of like what you'd expect someone at school to be working for. I think it's important. Actually, I don't think it's that important, to be fair. I think what's more important is seeing things from the perspective of love, of connection, of the holistic system. Like a car, you know, you can't neglect the engine or the suspension, you know, and think, oh, I'll just look after the exterior or the interior because I'm sitting in it. You know, the whole car has to be looked after for it to run smoothly and give you a high yield. Same with people. You know, if you're a politician, I'd be thinking about, you know, or personally, I'd be thinking about the health of the people, mental well-being, physical well-being, and looking into those and investing into those particular areas, reducing my kind of investment into things like entertainment and all these other little useful bits, but get to the root cause of, you know, what's the root cause of mental distress, what's the root cause of physical disharmony or physical disease. And being in the health and fitness industry over the last 18 years, I learned a lot about the body, not just through reading books and speaking to other coaches, but from direct experience and spirituality, and tinkering around with the power of the mind and how the mind affects your reality, and how the thoughts I think can actually literally change the reality around me. I've used psychedelics before as teachers, and I've been taught the impact of my thoughts, very powerful, and they can have an impact on my organism, but also the planet and those around me. So yeah, I mean, we are changing, as you can, you know, things have changed. That's the only constant in this universe, as it seems, and we either move with it or we perish. And I don't think it's a survival of the fittest. I think it's a survival of those who adapt, and those that don't adapt will pass on into another lifetime, into another incarnation, whatever happens after death. However, I don't think anyone is insignificant. Everyone is just as powerful as each other. Apparently, there's a game called Fortnite, and within that, you can buy upgrades and whatnot, which is where that game's made a lot of money from. However, those upgrades and those kind of extra parts don't bring you any additional advantage within the game. Everyone's an equal in the game, And I think I truly believe that about life. It's just our self-limiting beliefs that we've imposed upon ourselves, which makes us think that we're not as powerful as, say, Donald Trump or Bill Gates or whoever. We're all equal. Even the homeless guy or the homeless woman or the people living in the slums of Mumbai. Tremendous power, and that power is love. Literally, love can transform the planet. And when you step back and look at things from the perspective of love, it's like taking off a pair of glasses which distort your reality and just looking with your natural eyes. And when you see that, you'll see that all is beautiful, and your kind of reaction or your response to your external reality is one of love, because you're not afraid anymore. You realise that you're connected to it, and you actually feel it as well. It's not just an intellectual concept. And again, I'm speaking from direct experience here, to liberate the mind, to clear the mind, that any disease in the body, any excess body fat that you've got, any ailments that you've got, are trying to show you your way back home, so to speak. And again, I'm going to reference the Bible here, but they say the kingdom of heaven is within. And again, from direct experience, I don't know if I'm kind of there yet, or but all I know is that I've gone from a state of feeling cut off and powerless to feeling more in love and more powerful. So I'm assuming that's it. I don't know, but all I know is things are a lot better. I feel healthier, a lot healthier, a lot happier. I don't really. It's really strange. Like all my negative thoughts, my emotions, they've just kind of been sequestered and tamed, and they're just there in the background as a memory, but not as something that's controlling my life. The thoughts that I'm getting on a daily basis are new. There's like creative. It's like where's these thoughts come from? Thoughts that I wouldn't normally think. And I think that's what Albert Einstein says, that you can't solve problems with the same level of thinking or consciousness that created them. And I think given the position that some of us are in, we've got a perspective which some of the people in power don't have, and that's our power. They might have the physical means and the ability to change policies and things like that, but we've got a perspective which they can't have. And you've got to bless them, because they can't see the impact that a policy change or whatever change on that level has on us and a kind of middle and lower class people. I don't like that term. I'm going to take that back. Let's eradicate the middle and lower class. There is no classes. What impact it has on us that don't have that power, essentially. But that's where we come in, and we don't just buy into it. We don't resist it either, because I don't think, as we know, fighting something is just going to create more fighting. A war on this and a war on that isn't going to create the harmony that we're looking for, because the very act of war against something in itself is an act of war. Whether it's an act of war against obesity or drugs, it's still an act of war. When you stop what you resist persists, and when you stop giving it energy, it goes away. So, for example, my splits got better, my handstand got better when I stopped giving it energy. That the fact that I couldn't do it, and then one day I've just been playing around, and it was just there. A lot of the stuff that you think is true about the human body, it is, depending on what frame of reference or paradigm that you look at the body from. So if you think of your body as a separate thing on a planet or in a container, then you will get the experience of that, and you will interact with your environment as if it's a limited being, and that there's only limited resources, and that I need to fight for my survival on this planet. However, if you change your frame of reference, which seems to come through just the asking the question in your mind, and the powers that be in the universe seem to bring about the answer. You'll get a direct experience of your infinite nature. So it literally is a matter of choice. And what opens you up is the question, is wanting to know if there's more to life, or is there not even more to life, but more to you than this, if that's what you're thinking. And I was thinking that from a very young age. When I was at school, I knew that I shouldn't have been there. I knew that I shouldn't have been working in jobs that I didn't want to do just for money. It didn't make sense to, spend 8 hours a day doing something I didn't love doing just to have a piece of paper so I could eat, when, there's plenty going around. Anyway, it led me to where I am now, so I don't I don't blame anyone for it, or I don't regret it, or I don't have any kind of resentment towards it, because it's made me who I am today. And I just want to share that, because it literally is a question. It's like in The Matrix, the film The Matrix, Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne. So Neo is Keanu Reeves, his character. He's just working a normal office job, but he's got a side life of a hacker. If you haven't seen it, I think most of you will have seen it. But in that film, Morpheus comes to him, or he gets a message on his computer from Trinity, I think it is, or Morpheus, which opens him up to the Matrix, and he either takes the blue pill or the red pill, which is basically a choice between going back to his normal life and carrying on as normal, or going down the rabbit hole and exploring what the nature of reality is and his true power. And ultimately he discovers that he has the ability to kind of influence his reality, and all he wants to do is keep balance and wake people up to the fact of their divinity, of their greatness, so we can create a world that looks as beautiful and green and sunny as God's own county, good old Yorkshire. Unification. So if I was gonna be a prime minister, my focus would be on love, on unifying people first of all. But I would bring to awareness, using the media outlets. I'd want people to know their power, their infinite power, and that they are as equally as powerful as the person at number 10. And when people start realizing that, oh wow, I'm not as weak as I thought, or I'm not as under control as I thought I was, and I can have what I want, and I can create my own reality. Yes, and when people start awakening to that fact, like I did, I just appreciated life more, because there was a time when I wanted to kill myself, because I was like, is this it? This is shit. I don't want to be here. Why would I want to live here and work in this? I don't want money. I don't want all these things. They're a bit lame. What I wanted was love. What I wanted to see was peace, harmony, and what 7.7 billion people on this planet could do if they put their minds to it, rather than just working for money what really triggered it off was sitting at a desk 8 hours a day doing something that I didn't want to do for money. And that was just, it was just chasing numbers, very, very soul destroying. And that's what caused me to kind of go and investigate. And there's loads of people that, it's not just me out there. I'm just sharing this because it'll hit my circle, but there's loads of spiritual teachers out there. There's loads of business people out there. There's loads of people out there talking about, have had these experiences of waking up from the dream of, something, an idea that's been planted in your head that you need to go to work to, you have to go to a job that you don't like. Just think about it. 8 hours a day doing something that you don't love. So naturally what's going to happen is that's what I call a negative energy output. You feel like crap, so you're going to be tired. You've got no energy for it. So it's not your diet that's out of whack. It's not your body that's out of whack. Well, ultimately it will end up becoming out of whack. It's because you're doing something that you don't love. So you don't need a new pill. You don't need a new diet. You don't need to go do more exercise, unless you want to, of course. But that negative has to balance itself out somewhere. So what do? Smoking is one. Drinking, gambling, all these extra habits, which is balancing it out. So it's not that these things are bad, but they seem bad because they can become destructive, because somewhere in your life you're not doing what you love doing. And that's where it comes. It's very important that you always do what you love. Now, to bring everyone into alignment to do what they love is about helping them overcome their fears. Not helping them, but making them aware that they've got fears. And then, because you can only change what you're aware of, and then working to overcome them. Because when you overcome your fears, and you're going to do what you love fearlessly, and that's when you can start to come into alignment with your soul's desire. That's when your body starts to heal itself. That's when your body fat drops. That's when your body becomes symmetrical. People watch all the time. I watch their gait. I don't learn about human biomechanics. I just watch people, and it becomes glaringly obvious that, their foot's not tracking. Look at where the trainers are wearing. Look at the knee caving in, or look at the shoulder drop, or their posture from the side. You see many things. Sex functions out of whack. You get more susceptible to disease like coronavirus and 5G, I'm just going to put that in there. I want to see if this video gets banned. Coronavirus 5G, coronavirus 5G. It's just funny, I think. But yeah, you can actually heal yourself. You know, then things like 5G could go up, and it won't make a difference because your immune system will be strong enough that it will work symbiotically with the environment around you, and technology is there for us to use to our advantage, not as something that's a detriment, but it can be if we view it that way. It's not like what you see in the Terminator or in these dystopian futures and things, and those films exist to show us that we don't have to go down that route if we use love as a guiding factor. Because when you're in love, you're living in love, you feel full, so you don't feel like you need more. You don't feel like you need a bigger house or a bigger car or more sex or more drugs or or to fight, or like violence is there because a perceived threat. But when you don't perceive threat and it's not even a concept in your head, then you can't fight. So what happens to the planet? The planet heals itself, and we're going through that phase right now. However, I feel like there's going to be a reshuffle of government positions, medical professionals, personal trainers, whatnot. Some of the messages I convey totally go against. They don't go against the industry, but it's a total paradigm shift. So, if you some of the things is like, people ask me, Rax, I'm eating chocolate. Can I eat chocolate? Yeah. You want to eat it? Why are you eating it? I'd ask them why they're eating it, and say, why do you feel guilty for eating it? And eventually, when you allow yourself to do what you're getting to do and the natural processes run out, what happens is the answer comes to light, and you're like, oh shit, I eat chocolate because of this. Oh wow, okay, now I've realised that, and I don't do that anymore. I can stop it. So it's not about resisting it, because what you resist persists. It's going to come back, and I know that. I tried to suppress my food appetite, eating clean. It didn't work. It just ruined me. It worked initially, but then it ruined me. So I thought, I'm not trying hard enough. So I tried harder and harder and harder. But all I was doing was suppressing my desires for chocolate and crisps and whatnot. And my diet for the last year and a half, 2 years, has been chocolate, crisps, and garlic bread and pizza and beer. That's about it. But I feel great. So it just goes to show that it's not necessarily what you eat. It's about why you eat what you eat and the mindset that you're coming from. So yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up now because I've been talking for quite a while, and I'm due to meet a friend and I'm late, so I'm going to run. But just keep doing what you're doing. Ask the question. It's a question that opens up your mind to a wider possibility that there is more to life than what you see on the TV, and what you see on the internet, even on your phone, and even through me. Like, go within. Like, you've got an answer within yourself. You're connected to an infinite intelligence, which literally is an infinite intelligence. What you see on on X-Men, like Wolverine healing himself when he's been stabbed or shot, and it happens. That can happen. Trust me. Not like that. I've not experienced it like that on the X-Men film, but I've experienced it on a kind of, I guess if you were like a smaller scale, and I've noticed some other magical things I just didn't even dream of, and I just didn't even know existed until more recently. But that's the fun part. It's not about someone else telling you what's there. It's about the discovery yourself. It's like opening a Christmas present. You discover your own gifts, your own power, and it's a wonderful gift waiting for you to unbox. Have a great day, guys. I'll speak to you soon.